Thank you very much, Madam Chairman. And obviously from my opening 1 minute, I'm very disturbed about a major slap in the face to someone who is to Vice President, Senior Vice President of Afghanistan, who was instrumental in defeating the Taliban and al-Qaeda forces shortly after 9/11. And I just don't understand that. I mean, it just is, but it seems to be a pattern in this administration where they go after the people who are the most friendly to the United States and use a very soft approach and conciliatory approach towards those who would slaughter Americans by the thousands if they had a chance. Let's go to Dr. Friddy and why we have to provide F-16s and military equipment to a country that Dr. Friddy's imprisonment continues to be basically an act by the Pakistani government to basically thumb their nose at the United States and the people of the United States. Here's the man who permitted us with his activity to bring to justice the criminal who slaughtered, the criminal terrorist who helped slaughter, not help, but planned the slaughter of 3,000 Americans on 9/11. And here we can't grant a passport to the man who helped defeat the radical Islamicists in Afghanistan, but we are going to give aid, continue to give aid to the country that holds Dr. Friddy, the person who helped us defeat or come bring to justice the man who murdered our people, that we can't even demand that he be freed from the dungeons he's being held in. Does that make no sense? Can you make some sense out of that for me?
Thank you very much, Congressman. First of all, with regard to the question of visas, privacy laws prohibit us from commenting on the details of any particular consular application. But I can tell you that First Vice President Dostum is reported to have decided not to travel to the United States in order to remain in Afghanistan to deal with the security situation, especially in the north.
You don't believe that he really decided that on his own? I mean, I'm happy to see that you're towing the line. It's your job to be here and say that to us, but nobody buys that. I mean, the bottom line is we've slapped him in the face. Let me just put for the record, General Dostum, now Vice President Dostum, was pivotal to organizing after 9/11 and organizing the Northern Alliance. He put together a force that defeated the Taliban. When his forces, by the way, removed the Taliban from Kabul, there were only 200 American troops on the ground at that time. That was a very hard-fought battle. He was in front of the troops most of the time, leading the way. This is a very brave man and a very, yes, flawed man, no doubt. We're all flawed. And what they're saying that he committed, the horrible crime he committed was, in Afghan tradition, when someone surrenders, they surrender and pledge not to try to overpower their captors. The captors pledge not to kill the people they've captured. That is so ingrained in the Afghans that otherwise their whole history would be killing all the prisoners. Well, after the Taliban forces were defeated in one of the first major battles, General Dostum had hundreds of prisoners who had surrendered. They were holed up in a French fort. I happen to have visited that fort. We had one CIA agent there trying to figure out what was going on. And the prisoners broke their pledge, broke the word, committed the atrocity of rising up against their captors and murdered a number of General Dostum's men, as well as our own CIA agent. And yes, after that, Dostum, and it took more lives to defeat those forces who are now in charge of that fort. And once they captured those men again, he didn't know what to do with them. He put them into container trucks and drove them off somewhere, and yes, they probably died a horrible death. They made the decision to rise up against their captors. They made the decision to kill an unarmed American CIA agent who was there trying to get a figure about what was going on. And for this administration to withhold a visa from him and slap him in the face because of that, knowing that he helped defeat the people who slaughtered 3,000 Americans, is insane. And then we go to Pakistan, and they have Dr. Afridi in jail. And the Pakistanis, we know, what do they use their own weapons for? To kill the Baluch by the thousands, and to attack their neighbors by supporting terrorist incursions into India. What more, one last question, okay. What more can Pakistan do that would have us cut off the military aid? What other evil deeds could they possibly do that would put us to the point where we won't any longer give them the weapons they need to kill innocent people and undercut the security of the region?
Congressman, with regard to Vice President Dostum,
Okay.
we're certainly well aware of the historic role that he has played, and let me assure you that we do treat the Vice President as the first Vice President of Afghanistan with all the respect that his office carries, and we are in touch with him at the appropriate level. As I say, I cannot comment on the status of the visa because of Privacy Act considerations. With regard to Pakistan, as I have said, I think Pakistan is at a strategic crossroads. I think it needs to make a choice. It has been helpful to the United States and the international community in trying to bring the Taliban to the table for reconciliation talks, but the Taliban have rejected that. And our view is that the Taliban need to face the consequences of their decision. So it does seem to me that Pakistan right now has some very serious challenges and difficult decisions to make.
What about the Pakistanis suffering the consequences of their decisions? No, we're just going to keep the money flowing no matter what they do. And it's debatable whether or not they have encouraged the Taliban leaders that you're talking about to actually go and to try to do something, or whether they're financing the Taliban leaders with our money. This is insanity. This administration has it's not just administration. This started when we forced Karzai down the throats of the Afghan people, man with no popular support whatsoever, man whose family deeply involved with various criminal activities. We laid the groundwork before this administration, and this administration continues this type of insanity that is leading to many deaths by Americans throughout this country.
Thank you, Mr. Rohrabacher.